we care about is what the candidate for president of the United States says, and he says it with great bravado. He even says, if you beat up media, if you beat up the press, I will pay for your legal fees. And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
Ooh. Triggered? I'm triggered!
Had the worst record of any president.
What is good, YouTube family? It's your boy Rashad. We back again with the Black Anomaly Rising channel. So I gotta talk to y'all about Nancy Pelosi, okay? This lady who looks like she's about like 135 years old, okay? Crooked Nancy. This lady has literally been very ugly and nasty to Donald Trump. I'm sure a lot of y'all remember how she like ripped the paper up behind his head after he gave a speech.
God bless America. Thank you very much.
Right, so this lady has some issues, okay? She got apparently some anger issues. She lies constantly. I'm sure a lot of y'all remember at one point she was saying that student loan forgiveness, well, this is an example of her telling the truth, but this is her saying that student loan forgiveness had to come from Congress rather than the president.
People think that the president of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress. But the difference between the president can't do it. So that's not even a discussion. Not everybody realizes that, but the president can only postpone, delay, but not forgive.
Now, of course, she's changing her tune, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about Nancy trying to go off, like trying to get slick-mouthed, okay? Like, that's how people get popped. But she was like tripping because this reporter who she's interviewing with had an issue with her basically making a false claim. She fact-checked her live on air, something that they love to do to people like Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, these guys can't even get a dang word in. But then if you do it to Democrats, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now you're out of line. Don't fact check me on the jobs records. Because, you know, of course, the Democrats keep trying to lie about Joe Biden's job records. Like, he's the greatest president of all time because he created like 9 million jobs, right? Like, he, you know, insane numbers that they give him. And they say that Trump like lost all these jobs due to lockdowns that were Democrat supported, that it was their idea, right? So it came from people like Dr. Fauci, CDC, and all the Democrats supported it. And then they wanted to turn around, and because there was jobs lost there, blame it on Trump. So it's like classic Democrat strategy is create a problem and then fix the problem that you created and then try to take credit for it. But if you create a problem and it goes wrong for your political opponents, then it's like, well, see, these guys suck, so you need to vote for us, and we promise that we're going to fix the problem that we created to begin with, but you don't know that we created, or maybe you forgot that we created it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this interview.
As we do so.
I want to ask you about former President Donald Trump running for re-election again. Mitch McConnell was on Meet the Press over the weekend saying he stood by what he said about January 6th, stood by his vote for acquittal in the Senate on the trial. He believes Donald Trump's responsible for January 6th, but he also says he's going to support the nominee for president, which is going to be Donald Trump. He thinks Joe Biden.
It's a stupid behind L take from Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, any conservative. Mitt Romney's freaking been a Democrat like his whole life. He's been faking the whole time. So no, I don't support anybody like that freaking clown. But anybody who tries to say that Donald Trump is responsible for J6 is stupid. Okay, like there's certain words I can't say because YouTube, they got AI, it checks everything. But look, you got mental issues if you're trying to say that Donald Trump's responsible for January 6th. I got a whole playlist. Check it out, and you can see why none of that logic makes any sense.
And is too dangerous. And then Bill Barr is kind of doing the same thing. He was on CNN on Friday, and he was asked about this immunity argument that Donald Trump's lawyers are making, that anything he does can be considered, or a president does, can be considered an official act, even if that means assassinating an opponent. Let me just play a little bit of what Bill Barr said about what he believes Donald Trump would not do, or would not do if he were elected again.
I remember him being very mad about that. I actually don't remember him saying executing, but I wouldn't dispute it. I mean, it doesn't sound. The president would lose his temper and say things like that. I doubt he would have actually carried it out. That's my feeling, having worked for him and seen him in action. I don't think he would actually go and kill political rivals and things like that.
He says he would hear Donald Trump say, have someone executed, I guess more than once, he says in that interview. But
So for the record, not only is that not what the guy said in the interview, but I also don't recall Donald Trump ever saying that. So these people like to take things that he does say and just twist it around into how it translates to their mind, regurgitate it and how it translated to them, to their viewers. And next thing you know, everybody's going around saying, Donald Trump said he's going to execute his opponents. And I'm like, what? When did he say that? Like, that never happened.
He doesn't believe that he would ever do that. Do you think that that's...
Like, you think for a second, where's the clip? Where's the clip? If anybody has the clip, feel free to try to link it to me, email it to me, whatever you want to do. But they didn't even play it here, and they got a whole media machine. This is MSNBC, so they could find it, and they could have posted it here. But they didn't, and I think there's a reason for that.
Your experience with Donald Trump, do you think it's obviously different from his experience, rational?
Well, what do we care what Bill Barr says? What we care about is what the candidate for president of the United States says, and he says it with great bravado. He even says, if you beat up if you beat up the press, I will pay for your legal fees. So again, those
now that he did say, but he was joking, obviously.
This is the day we take our country back. So I got a little notice, in case you see, the security guys, we have wonderful security guys. They said, Mr. Trump, there may be somebody with tomatoes in the audience. So if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees. I promise. I promise.
Like, come on, guys. Like, Trump has actually, like, not supported anybody who is a real, actual criminal. Okay, like, there's been some people who've got out of jail, but it's not been anybody who's beat up members of the press, guys. Like, you can't take something said in jest and then be like, oh, he was serious about that. But then if Joe Biden makes a joke, oh, he was just kidding. Like when he said, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And he was just kidding. It was just a joke. Like they want to use that excuse for Joe Biden, but not for Trump. And it's ridiculous. It doesn't work.
About the Constitution and who have studied all this have said, how can you say that a president can commit an illegal act and not be accountable for it because he's no longer president? Person could do whatever he wants to do and resign, and then he's free off the hook.
That's not how it goes. They say Congress has to impeach the person and convict them of it. It's not that you're just immune and there's nothing that you can do. That's the whole argument that's being made. It's like, guys, people are so stupid.
So this is really, I mean, if this court doesn't rule in the right way, we have real concerns about our democracy and the three branches of government. And we have to take a look at term limits for the courts or something, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, it isn't what Bill Barr's interpretation is, if he thought he heard it or didn't hear it. What it's important is what Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy. What is a democracy? What are the pillars?
Here we go.
A free and independent press to tell the story of what's...
Well, you mean like how they were trying to shut down all those social media stories? Anybody who dissented about vaccination, anything related to C-19, Hunter Biden laptop, Russia collusion. So that none of that stuff counts because this is all Democrat led. Before she even tries to go off talking about how he's trying to censor free speech, at no point was my speech ever censored due to something that Donald Trump was supporting. This was all Democrat led. Okay, all of these freaking undercover communists is pretty overt these days. I wouldn't even call it undercover, but it's the classic pot calling the kettle black.
Going on to keep everybody informed of what people are saying and doing. That transparency is essential. A
Y'all remember Joe Biden's Ministry of Truth? Last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna let her continue. My bad. Look, Ministry of Truth. Joe Biden tried to establish the Ministry of Truth. Some people still don't know about this, where he was literally going to police social media organizations, news organizations, podcasts. Literally, the government determines what the truth was. Okay, this was Joe Biden's thing. Tulsi Gabbard called it out. I did a video about it. Check it out if you can find it. I might link it.
An independent judiciary, when they're practically threatening on TV exposure of jurors in a trial of the president or any trial, and any of that. What is an independent judiciary? Is about free and fair elections, and what do they do but suppress the vote? So there's nothing in his performance, if that's the word we'll use, what he has done, that would indicate that he cares, prioritizes, or ever valued or did anything to support a democracy. And now on the ballot saying Trump, he should have immunity.
This makes no sense. Trump is literally winning the election so far. He's up in the polls. So how is he not supporting democracy when he lost the election, even though he didn't agree with it? And even though I didn't agree with it, and a lot of folks didn't. At the end of the day, he left. But the Democrats did what? They tried to remove him from the ballot. They're politically persecuting him. Right? Like, are you guys nuts? They rigged it against Bernie Sanders multiple times in the primaries. Like, these people are wackos. RFK Jr. is running independent because the Democrats have rigged primaries, and RFK Jr. thinks so too. It's not just me who thinks it. RFK Jr. was a Democrat, and he thinks the primaries are rigged. Bernie Sanders has said that before until he took and put his mask on and assimilated with Democrats like Joe Biden is the best person for president. I was like, bro, what happened to you, Bernie? You used to call him out as a liar and a cheat. But eventually he assimilated, and now he's pretty much licking Joe Biden's, you know what, his freaking nads.
Immunity from whatever he might do. I mean, really, I have sympathy and respect for everybody who votes. I'm glad people vote. I know some of them will always reject those of us who may look different to them in leadership or the rest, and that's that. But there are those who have real legitimate concerns about immigration, globalization, innovation, and what does that mean for their job and their family's future? And we have to address those concerns. And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst.
I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that.
No, but let me just say, as a Speaker of the House,
Right.
We put forth a $3 trillion bill.
Okay, look, let me unpack this for a second, bro. Like, how you gonna be called out on a fact that's obvious? Like, everybody knows that when COVID started, the Democrats wanted to shut the economy down. Well, some people don't know who was responsible, but just so y'all know, it was primarily the Democrats. So the CDC recommended it, Dr. Fauci recommended it. The Democrats were like, yeah, if Trump don't do this, then he's not going to get reelected. So Trump caved under pressure, and he said 2 weeks to slow the spread. That's what everybody said. That Trump wanted to keep it at 2 weeks and open the economy up. The Democrats fear-mongered and said, no, you can't open the economy up because people will die. So it was the Democrats' fault, okay? People like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Stacey Abrams out of Georgia, right? All of these people wanted to keep the economy shut down, which led to the job loss and the permanent closure of a lot of companies, really teed off a lot of this crazy inflation. All it is the Democrats' fault, point blank, period. As for job creation, once all of these jobs started coming back and people started returning to work, they started really kind of weaning people off the teat of the government with all of these checks and benefits that they were giving and PPE loans that they were giving. Then the jobs really started coming back. But Nancy Pelosi wants to try to, like, in some fake way, try to present this as Joe Biden being the most awesome president ever, when none of this stuff really had much to do, honestly, with Donald Trump or Joe Biden. It's just circumstance. And I understand that you can that they can try to pin the blame on somebody for things going wrong, even if it wasn't in their control, and things going right when when Joe Biden was elected. However, what about all of this other stuff that happens? What about all the inflation? What about all of these wars, right? What about the freaking real estate market and the prices, right? Like, they don't want Joe Biden to take credit for any of that. Then it's the circumstance that's at fault. So if something's going good, it's Joe Biden's fault. Like, this is how these people work. It goes good, it's Joe Biden's fault that things are going good. If it goes bad, oh, no. That was because of Trump in the past, right? Illegal immigration is somehow Trump's fault, even though he's not in office, right? That's what they try to do, is blame him, even though he's not in office. These people are nuts, right? Like, they really don't. I don't think she talks about anything else. Let me see.
$3 trillion of investment in communities and
that's
the
last
West,
thing she said.
Stimulates
so, okay. $3 trillion. I can tell y'all right now, this is why you should never support any type of government tax or anything, okay? Because what they did is they passed these infrastructure bills and stuff, right? And here's what happens with the money. They distribute it. All of these idiots pocket the money. They do some work on like the most fanciest parts of the cities. They start new committees and all kinds of ridiculous fake jobs that are government jobs in all of the areas that are all these broke down poor neighborhoods. They don't rebuild the streets, redo the pipes. They don't put up new street signs, new street lights. They don't revitalize the schools. They don't do anything, okay? They're a bunch of liars, because I've seen it my whole life, okay? All this money that they can keep taking from us, it never goes back to the areas and the places that they claim it's going to go. When they're like, this is going to help your community, and it doesn't end up helping a damn thing, okay? So Nancy Pelosi like had a glitch here when she was called out. She's like, wait a minute. How dare you call me out on these fake Biden job numbers? How dare you? Okay, you're supposed to be MSDNC, not MSNBC. Okay, you're supposed to work for us, the Democrats. That's what Nancy Pelosi is saying. And she's like, watch out now, because before you mess up, we get Joe Biden, Congress makes the laws. She said, first off, we can make some laws and cause big problems for you over at MSDNC. Secondly, Joe Biden is corrupt, so he can make problems for you too. Them colluding together can make a lot of problems for everybody. Just ask TikTok. Okay? Anyway, guys, I just want to do a quick video here. So let me know what y'all think. Is Nancy Pelosi right? Is Joe Biden like the most amazing president ever because of getting the COVID jobs back? Or is she full of shit? Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Triggered and triggered!